write a string to a file. I'm going to start typing the definition. Already, you can see based on the comment, Github Copilot has completed this function for me. These aren't code snippets. I'm not running macros. This is an AI coding assistant that is looking at what I'm doing and making predictions on what I want. This is really cool because I have written just 3 comments and hit tab a couple times, and I have 18 lines of code. What's up, guys? Today, I want to talk about GitHub Copilot. I want to answer the question, is it hype? This will be the 3rd video in the Is It Hype series, a series where I try out new and existing technologies to determine if they're actually useful for developers like you and I. So, is GitHub Copilot hype? Does it live up to the expectations? Is it useful? Is AI pair programming everything that it's summing up to be? First off, let me go ahead and just answer the question, yes. I've been using GitHub Copilot for about a year now, and I can tell you that my productivity has gone up drastically. GitHub Copilot is so good that I think there'll be a gap between engineers who know how to use AI programming assistants and those who don't. In this video, I'm going to show you how GitHub Copilot can take your developer productivity to the next level. Let's get into it. All right, so we have an empty Python file here. I have an empty directory here. And what I want to do here is just write to a file. So I'm going to type a comment, and I'm just going to say, write a string to a file. And I'm going to start typing the definition. And already you can see, based on the comment, GitHub Copilot has completed this function for me. These aren't code snippets. I'm not running macros, right? Like, this is an AI coding assistant that is looking at what I'm doing and making predictions on what I want. That's pretty cool. So now we have a function that we can write to a file. Let's keep going, right? How well can GitHub Copilot really listen, right? So let me drop another comment, right? Create a list of objects with 3 key value pairs of different types. And interestingly, you can see that as I'm typing, I was typing different, and it actually guessed that I wanted to say different types. So it's already inferring what I want to see. So let me just hit enter here. Sure, we'll make it a function. I'm fine with that. Okay. And as you guys can see, create lists. It's creating a list with 3 items in it, and they all have have different types, right? Because we're going to end up with a float here. So that's really interesting. That's really cool. All right, so let's keep going, right? So let's run some operations, right? So let me create a list. Let me generate my list here, and now I want to let's keep pushing GitHub Copilot. Say I want to change the name, right? So that's something you do often, like string modification. So I'll write a comment here. I'll say, for each item in the list, update the name to uppercase and write to a file, right? So kind of combining things here, seeing if GitHub Copilot can keep up. Okay, so it got the for loop, and it is doing the work for me. All right, so keep in mind, right, this is really cool because I have written just 3 comments and hit tab a couple times, and I have 18 lines of code, and this is just within some 4 minutes, right? So you can see this, you can see Copilot really helping you out here as you build out, large code bases, as you work through hundreds and thousands of lines of code. The prediction isn't perfect. I will say you have to be looking at what Copilot is generating for you, but overall it is incredible at guessing what you want next based on the context around it. All right, so what else can we do with this? Let's run it, right? Let's make sure that this actually runs. So let's go ahead and run, Python main. It ran fine, no errors. And look, we got a bunch of files generated. And if you walk through the code, we have this running exactly, right? So I have a write to file function, create lists, and I'm getting a list with the name key value pair where the name is name plus the index getting generated. I create this list, call the function, loop through, and I uppercase the name. As you can see in the output, it's calling my write to file function. And if I step in to these items, you can see that it just threw a string. It wrapped the dictionary in the string call, and that's going to give us this output. So pretty incredible, pretty incredible. Let's look at a Node.js example, and then I want to show you an example of how I use GitHub Copilot in my new application that I'm writing. Okay, so now I have express.js, and you can probably guess what I'm going to try to do here. I want to see if GitHub Copilot can generate an ExpressJs application for me on the fly. I'm just going to type generate Express app. Okay, so this is interesting, right? So it is generating an Express app, but you can kind of tell in this case, GitHub Copilot is literally just reading from an existing ExpressJS app and just guessing at all the different things that I want to do with it, right? It just keeps importing, keeps setting up services. You have to give GitHub Copilot some direction sometimes. So let me be more specific here. Generate a small Express app. Okay. Perfect. So, with a little more direction, I literally just added the word small. It knows what I want, right? I just wanted to spin up a tiny ExpressJS application. Now I want to show you an example of GitHub Copilot inside of an application that already has code written in it. So I've opened up my application that I'm building called Timeva. Feel free to check out my previous videos. I'm in the process of launching Timeva V2. It's the second version of the application to help you manage your productivity. So this is a real application. The application is an Electron, Vue.js, TypeScript application, and I'm using Pinna.js as my store. And I want to show you how GitHub Copilot can jump in here and help write mutations in my store with very, very minimal work. So let's jump into this. So we have the store, and check out my video on Pinna stores if you're interested in that. But long story short is we have state, getters, and actions. Actions are your mutators. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to kind of make up a new mutation based on some of the state I already have existing in the store. And we're gonna let GitHub Copilot do the work for me. So what I'm gonna do is I have this function that increments an occurrence of this object. And what I'm gonna do is just create the opposite, right? I'm gonna create decrement. So I'm just gonna start typing here, decrement, tag occurrence. And so it's starting to, generate the code for me. It's looking around and it's seeing that it's already done a version of this. And there it is. Okay. So, this is one of those cases where the code was right above and it's a decrement, so you just minus, but it can get a lot more complicated than that, and you want GitHub Copilot to do these things for you. Okay, so for instance, let's just jazz this up a bit, right? Let me create an arbitrary function, replace activity tag, right? Okay, I want a tag and a tag to replace, so I'm gonna give GitHub Copilot some more information here. Exactly, new tag. Okay, and it's gonna call it, looks like it's, okay, so it's coming here with the splice function. It's just going to go ahead, find the index of this, and cut one item and replace it with a new tag. So just like that, GitHub Copilot jumps in, takes control, and writes what I want to do. I think the key thing you need to keep in mind with GitHub Copilot is that you need to know what you're trying to accomplish. I would never give GitHub Copilot to an amateur programmer that doesn't know what they're trying to build or do. When GitHub Copilot generates bad output, it will cause bugs. I've had cases where I'm just glossing over it, not looking at the output of GitHub Copilot, and I've created issues for myself. So when you try this out, definitely watch the code that's being generated. GitHub Copilot is not going to replace engineers. It's going to help engineers engineers that know what they're doing do it faster. Okay, I want to show you one more example inside the Timeva application. Let me undo all this. And let's hop into, all right, so let's check out this file. I've used Github Copilot to generate basically every function in this file previously. So you can see here, I have a bunch of converter functions that basically take seconds and converts them into a different format. So for instance, this function here will take seconds and convert it into a minutes, hour display with the shorthand format. So what I'm gonna do here is basically create a new function that does exactly this, but in a different format. So we're gonna see how well Github Copilot can look at my comment, analyze what I'm looking for, and then generate the function. So all I'm gonna do here is come to the top and say, converts time in seconds to, I want this in, let's see what format. Let's do something kind of weird. I want 1 hour, and see, that's really interesting. It's even guessing formats for me, which is really cool. 1 hour, let's get tricky with it. So I want 15 min, right? So this shorter format, and then I want 30s format, right? So it's very inconsistent. I actually don't know if Github Copilot will be able to pull this off. So let's see. Okay, let me change the name of this function. I think this is a dupe. And I want to return a string here actually. So, you know, sometimes it doesn't always generate the right output. You have to give it some more information by just continuing to code the thing that you're trying to see. So seconds to long hour, medium minute, short second. I don't know, it's a weird function name, but whatever. All right, so it's, first of all, it's getting the hours, minutes, seconds. And now it's trying to generate some outputs. And you can see here, Github Copilot actually fails to generate the output that I want to see, right? But even when Github Copilot fails, it still gives you a lot of information to work with, right? Like I can come in here and just change this hour, min, second, and now it's complete, right? So even when Github Copilot fails, it's still giving you output and it's still saving you lines of code. We're just scratching the surface of what Github Copilot can do. Github Copilot is hype. Download it, try it out. It's going to make you a more productive engineer. A couple things you have to watch out for. Don't over rely on it, and make sure you know what you're trying to do before you ask Github Copilot to generate code for you. Huge thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.